will have extra work, then the recommendation should emphasize that the choice should be only if this choice will make our work easier and not to be mandatory, whatever it takes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Other reactions? Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Antonia Fröhlich from Statistics Austria. I would like to ask a question to my colleague from Distatis. You said you will change your method from direct surveys concerning the production volumes to a deflated turnover index. The question is, why would you change your system, and what will be your new source of data or survey or whatever? Thank you.
Yes, there are two reasons why we want to change the system. The first is, in the moment we ask at a very detailed level, and this means a big burden for the respondents. So we want to reduce the burden for the respondents. And the second reason, this is mainly the reason why we want to change the statistical unit, is that the establishments which are producing know very well about the physical quantities they produce, but they don't know the production value of their products. This is more a central question which can be answered by the higher level in the firm, but not by the production sites. You know, they just produce and they don't know what the value is if these products are sold. And we want to connect the value of the products sold to the turnover of the firms. There should be a correspondence between the two figures. And therefore, we want to switch from the production sites to the enterprises, or a kind of activity units in the enterprises. And there we guess that we get a better estimation of the values of the products. And the new survey will be a survey on enterprises and the kind of activities in the enterprises.
Thank you very much. Who else wants the floor? Okay, so I don't see any immediate reaction, so I will go with my own comments. First of all, for the presentation of Dalit. I understood from your presentation that you are moving from a sample survey to a full coverage scheme, given that you have access to all the microdata. So I would like to share our experience in Greece on that. Usually, we keep enlarged samples when we have access to administrative data, because, at least in our case, the administrative data have to be processed. We cannot use them as it is, and this requires partly manual processing, not only automated. So it takes time. Also about the issue you said, how can you use a taxable value when we need production volume, and there is the difference in the time of selling the products and time of production. In the case of Greece, we have classified our products, and for specific products that are of continuous production, and their quantities can be well approached by the turnover. We use the administrative data. For the others, we are stuck with survey, and we collect directly data. So one more comment from my side on your point about keeping the production panel stable, fixed. In our case, but not for the industrial production index, for other statistics, we are using the annual, the frozen SBR, and we are using this for the monthly statistics. So we are, of course, there are some alterations that may be, for example, if there is a new big enterprise or a big change, we may have a small alteration in this. But in general, as a principle, we keep on an annual base fixed our panel, and we revise it every year according to the business register. And I have a question for you. What are your plans about keeping continuity, introducing the new data source? How are you going to bridge with the previous time series of the index? So I'll continue with the presentation of Cogita. I would like to fully support your considerations about quality. No new data source, in my opinion, can be introduced without very well assessing the quality aspects. And I agree with your proposed directions on the quality. As for the question about fully replacing surveys with administrative data, I think there is no unique answer. It depends. And I think this needs to be reflected in the recommendation. There is no, it depends on the survey, it depends on the data, it depends on many different aspects. And Stefan, for your very interesting presentation. My opinion is, of course, that you can run the survey for the task team participants. Of course, it will be very interesting to see the results on the international level. I would like to ask you, because I find it very interesting, I suppose that you have monthly data on stocks, because you said that you are going to deflate values, and okay, I can understand the origin of that, but you said that you are going to deflate changes in stock. So I'm wondering which is the source you are having for stocks, and what is the frequency of the source? Thank you. I think you can, yes, reply in this order as well.
Yeah, thank you for those comments and questions. So I think, yes, that's a big issue for us as to if we move from our traditional survey-based index to administrative database index. So as of now, what we are planning is, because we will be using administrative data for the first time, so for some part, we will keep both the series continue. And after an overlapping period of maybe 1 or 2 years, then maybe we will move away from one series to the other one. That is the tentative plan that we want to do. And I think this taxable value versus production value, again, for work in progress items, for example, shipbuilding and those things, it is difficult to get data. So if we can capture these in our this kind of text data, because they will file every month, so that source will be much better as compared to our normal way of doing it. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Gogita, do you have?
No, not really. I just want to highlight once again that actually high quality of statistical products from international recognized practice, we know that can be derived by combining survey result with administrative sources, but using more data, admin data, is obvious alternative to produce official statistics nowadays, because we are statisticians, resources are always limited, especially for us, and we are trying to find some alternative phase, which gives us to save resources, which is limited, and at the same time decrease respite and burden.
Thank you very much, Stefan. The floor is.
Yes, thank you. On the deflated value of change of stocks, this is work in progress in Germany. We don't have developed this. Now we are in the process of developing it. And also, I have a own remark, if I may. My remark is that the VIT systems or the GST system, as you have, are very differently developed, also in the EU. I see, for example, that your system is very developed compared to our system, which is more traditional. And I think this is a huge task for statisticians also to do some long-term lobby work with the politicians to develop these systems so that they better fit for our purposes also. It's perhaps a very difficult task, a very difficult discussion, but nowadays there's much discussion about burden of respondents and bureaucracy. And then in this context, it would be a very important discussion and perhaps also a field of work for the UNIDO. And also in this context would be important the role of the e-invoice. This is also a very long-term engagement we have to have here, but I think these are very important sources which can in future play a very important role. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a new message on the chat. So from Stefan, administrative data should primarily supplement rather than fully replace industrial surveys, particularly in developing statistical system where coverage limitations, informal sector exclusion, and inconsistencies may affect data quality. Okay, it is also noted. So, yes, thank you.
Hi, well, I agree with you. You already said this, but to answer also Gogita's question, I believe that surveys and administrative records should be complementary and also including other data sources. However, we know that the continuous production of information through surveys require a lot of financial resources. So, and administrative records are generally, as they already said, mandatory. But we have to assure the quality also of these administrative records. And also there are periods of time that we don't have enough information or resource to make a survey or a special topic survey. And well, I also agree that the accuracy is essential. Thank you.
So, although this is not specifically about the presentation at hand, but I have one conceptual issue on IIP. As of now, our approach is that we select a product basket, and that for product basket, we select factories from which we collect the data and then produce our index. Now, what happens is that in the process, over a period of time, these products and these factories may get outdated, and because of which there are issues with the IIP representativeness. So, is it, just an idea that suppose instead of going to the products, in many countries we have the establishment level surveys that we do. And normally, by definition, establishment produces homogeneous kind of products. And if I take the production of that establishment in totality rather than product wise, okay, so I have total production of that establishment available, and I do a survey of all the establishments, and using establishment approach, I have the industry of the establishment as well. So I directly calculate my index using the total production of that establishment. Okay, and then work out my indices. So in that way, I mean, this is an alternate. I do not know how. I mean, I will need your answers because we are facing some problems in implementing product-based approach, where products after a point of time they are not available, and factories also go out of business. So whether this kind of possible is it possible that an approach purely based on establishments can also be considered as a way of compiling indices? This is one conceptual issue that I want to raise.
Thank you, Dalip. If I may try to answer to your or to give our perspective on this, we are using the annual production survey Prodcom for readjusting the product basket. So, but in the case of Greece, this is limited. So there, I understand that in other countries this may be different. So your approach sounds yes, a way forward. Any other comments? No, I don't see any. So I thank all the presenters of this item. And we proceed to the next item, which is on seasonal adjustment. And we will have a presentation by Dalip.
Thank you. So friends, this is a presentation on seasonal adjustment of IIP, some critical issues. As of now, frankly speaking, India has not attempted the seasonality adjustment as of now, and that's the reason why I am presenting this, because I find that in the current set of guidelines that are available, we faced a lot of problems in implementing the seasonal adjustment process. So I will raise some questions as to how and what are the issues that we are facing, and then how best these can be incorporated in our recommendations on the topic. So, as we know, industrial data often is characterized by seasonal fluctuations as well as calendar related effects. They mask short and long term movements in the data, and that's the reason, because they obstruct clear understanding of the economic phenomena, that many countries are producing seasonally adjusted indices so that they know what are the clear trends in the IIP production. Now, IRIP guidelines, they recommend producing and disseminating seasonally adjusted series as part of the long-term program for quality enhancement. And it is to be done only when there is a statistical evidence and economic explanation of seasonality and calendar effects. That means your data, when you analyze it, it should show that yes, there is a seasonality available, or if there are calendar effects available. And if there is a evidence, then only you should go for it. Next. In terms of conceptual framework that is available in the guidelines is that time series is a function of three parameters, namely trend, a seasonal component, and irregular component. And objective of the seasonal adjustment exercise is to estimate and remove the seasonal component part of it by various statistical techniques. But before doing seasonal adjustment, guidelines also talk about adjustments for, say, calendar effects if they are present. For example, on working or trading day effects or length of month effects. So these needs to be identified and removed. And secondly, if there are any outliers, those should also be removed before doing any seasonal adjustment. And as we know that this basic equation, there are two decomposition models available in terms of how this trend, seasonal and regular components are related. If they are independent of each other, then use an additive model. If they depend upon each other, then use multiplicative model. Next. So the seasonal, when we have seen that some of the countries, and we had interactions with IMF experts as well on this. So there are seasonal adjustment packages available. And those packages are either they are moving average based packages such as ARIMA based models. Commonly used is X13 ARIMA, seats model, and second is model based packages, which are components of that series modeled separately. And one of the commonly used is Tremo seats model. Again, for doing this, pre-adjustments are needed for developing calendar regressors as well as pre-adjustments using regression-based techniques. Next. And quality adjustment is another integral part of the seasonal adjustment process. Quality is good. How do you know that after carrying out the seasonality adjustment, this whatever series now comes out is good for the purpose? So then there are various checks to see whether there are any residual seasonality. So if no seasonality in the adjusted series, you have to check it for using various diagnostic procedures, say spectral diagnostics or specific diagnostic packages available. Then level of the series should remain similar to the original series. That means it should not introduce any bias when you do seasonal adjustment. There are no specific diagnostics for this. Then stability of series is very paramount when you undertake any revisions in the past estimates. Again, there are no specific diagnostics on this. Next. So what are the issues that we face when we want to do seasonal adjustment? Now, first issue is the level of seasonal adjustment. That means because seasonal adjustment is a resource intensive technique, you require modeling, you require huge data to be able to do the seasonal adjustment. So resource intensive and requires sufficient accuracy at lower levels of data. So the quality of data has to be good to be able to capture and show that seasonality was there and you have removed it. So countries may choose a suitable level as per their assessment as to at what level you want to do the seasonal adjustment. There are two methods. One is direct and there is indirect adjustment method. In direct adjustment method, it is done at all levels of aggregation. For example, I have a general series at the country level, then maybe there are few sectoral series below this. So I can decide to do at the sectoral level directly without going downwards at the lower levels. Second is, of course, the indirect adjustment, which is that you go to the lowest level, apply your seasonal adjustments, and then you work up, gross up at the higher levels. But again, in this case, sometimes results are not very satisfactory because at lower levels, seasonality may have been removed, but it appears at the higher levels. So those kind of issues may come up. Next. So revisions due to seasonal adjustment, that is another important issue with the seasonal adjustment, that apart from revising due to updated raw data, because every month you are getting data, and because seasonal adjustment is a model based exercise. So at some point of time, after 1 year or 2 years, your model might get outdated or might not capture the latest data trends. So apart from revisions due to updated raw data, seasonal adjustments may result in revisions occurring due to better estimates of seasonality. So models keep adjusting to the new information, which should offer the best results, may result in revisions of data for several years. This is a big challenge, that if you create your series, you produce quick, for example, in India, we come out with quick estimate first month, then we revise it in the next month, we bring out revised estimate or final estimate. Thereafter, if I want to do the seasonal adjustment, so that will be third revision. And after a year, if my model changes, again there will be revision of the entire series. So how many revisions can you go for? So that is the question, so that it does not cause confusion among the users. So keeping model fixed over time and extrapolating the seasonal factors would result in biased estimates. Then there is a partial concurrent approach which has been suggested, which says that you can your model can be reviewed periodically, and then parameter estimation and seasonal factors can be updated with each new observation. So there has to be a balance between stability and adaptability for that purpose. Next. Next. Yeah. So the critical question 1 is about choice of method for seasonal adjustment. should countries be provided a choice of methods and software for seasonal adjustment? Because as of now, we find that there are n number of models are available. So which one will suit you? Whether we can give a suite of such models that countries can use for their purpose, or they have to do on their own depending upon what data you have. So those kind of questions arise. So we are suggesting that when you prepare these guidelines, either UNIDO or other agencies, they may develop or endorse a software. As of now, we know that IMF does have a software, that Ramose's model is there. But again, using that would require hand-holding for various countries that want to use those models. Then software may be updated regularly as per the developments in the field, and this will require countries to adopt the seasonal adjustment process. Alternatively, countries may be given a choice of software from which they can choose from, and NSO may require a hand-holding. Next. Second question is about suitable calendar regressor. Again, this varies from country to country, because holidays generally they vary according to the local customs and traditions. In India, we find that there are certain holidays. There is a period around, say, October or November, when some 4 or 5 holidays appear simultaneously. So when such a situation happens that some holiday it falls in October, in next year it may fall in November, so it doesn't follow a set pattern. So it is difficult to find out the seasonality is due to which particular holiday. So those kind of issues are there. So how to deal with that data? So this problem compounds when some of these holidays move in different months over the years. Next. Question 3 is treatment of systematic shocks. For example, COVID-19 data, there were disruptions in the economy. And when you do seasonal adjustment for this, we know that because of the COVID-19, production actually went down and drastically. So should you treat it as an outlier? Because this is a genuine data. It is not some outlier in the normal sense of the term of the outlier. So these are attributable to genuine economic disruptions rather than data errors. So how should we handle in the modeling framework when we undertake this seasonal adjustment? Next. So critical question number 4 is suitable length of the time series for a good quality seasonal adjustment. So conventionally, it is informed in the guidelines that 5 years data is required for the seasonal adjustment. That means you should have at least 5 years data of the series, and then you develop your model, and then you start adjusting your making seasonal adjustment in the data. Now, question is that generally, as per our guidelines, we say that our product basket and our base year should be revised every 5 years. So if you go by that, then there is no time for seasonal adjustment. So how do you get a 5 years data with the new set of the product basket, with the new set of factories? So that is a conceptual issue. Yes, I agree that if you use chain linked indices, then obviously this problem is resolved. But with a fixed base index, we faced that how do you go, or how do you get 5 years data to be able to generate a good chain linked index? Next. Yeah, I think that was the last slide. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dalip. Yes, Stefan?
Yes, thank you for the very good summary presentation here. I wanted to mention that in the EU, there has much work been done on the harmonization of seasonal adjustment procedures within the EU. This work has been done by the NSOs in cooperation with the central banks in the EU. And so there are comprehensive guidelines on seasonal adjustment. There's also an open source software called JDemetra Plus, which can be used for seasonal adjustment, and this is mandatory. And also we are developing air programs or air routines for the NSOs to embed this open source software into the processes in the NSOs to conduct seasonal adjustment. So I think that the UN countries could very much benefit from this work. There's really, it's very good prepared, and it's for the sake of harmonization. So I think this could be a good thing to include these guidelines.
Thank you very much. And if I may add to Stefan's comment that during the COVID period, these recommendations were updated and there was continuous guidance on this. But of course, I will agree with you that on a month we can identify an outlier, but then it can be a level shift and we cannot know it in advance, and this is a problem. Other comments? Yes, yes, Carolina.
Thank you, Christina. If I hear well, you change the parameters every month when you, or no, every year. Okay. And in Argentina, we every year, of course, we change the parameters. We use the X13 ARIMA seeds. It's what IMF recommend to use. Yes, okay. And the base year, it depends on national accounts. It depends on national accounts, really. When national accounts change the base, we change the base of our IIPs. The IIP of mining, we are different from the national accounts because we have a census of mining in 2016 and we changed the base. But it's a problem for national accounts, so we have to explain a lot why the IPP of mining is different of the national accounts. So we stop there, only with the mining. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a question on the chat. So what can be the best frequency to update the calendar? Each year? I don't know if there is a suggestion on this question at this point. Okay. Okay. I don't see any other reactions. So thank you very much, Dario, for this very good presentation. And we continue. Okay, for the next item, improved guidance on specific issues. There was a presentation, but unfortunately it is cancelled due to unexpected reasons. So probably you have seen possible specific issues. So I suggest to leave this discussion for the next probably virtual meeting of the task team, if you agree, to save some time. Okay. And then we are moving to the data compilation topics. And the first one is on globalization and global value chains. We have 3 presentations on this. The first one will be by Cristina Neves. So Cristina, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Christina, and good morning, everyone. So I'm going to talk a little bit about globalization and global value chains and the work that we already are doing in other task teams of the UN CEPTs, mainly in the task team on international trade statistics. Since the UN CEPTs decided that the work stream on globalization will be a responsibility of the task team on international trade statistics, and global value chain are part of this globalization work stream. So my idea for this presentation today is to give you an overview what we are doing and how that the work that this task team wants to develop can fit on our plans for developing the global value chains work stream. So in terms of topic characteristics for this revision item, what I'm going to talk is based on the work that is being developed by the other UN CEPS task team, namely, as I mentioned, the task team on international trade statistics, namely on the globalization work stream, and also mention what we have so far included in the IMTS, International Merchandise Trade Statistics Manual, which also has a subchapter dedicated to the global value chains, more related with the trade statistics. This is intended as a conceptual and methodological topic. In terms of topic status, is based on the existing topic and covering in other related manuals, namely on the IMTS. And in terms of priority, I consider it as a high and very important topic. Well, let's start with the IMTS. In fact, the new IMTS, which I mentioned already in this meeting, was endorsed by the UN Statistical Commission in March this year as a specific chapter, a new chapter that we call the specialized topics. And in this chapter, we have a subchapter on globalization, when we talk about global production arrangements and global value chains, and we have very specific recommendations to the member state in order to be aligned with the most relevant international guidelines on these areas. So in this chapter, the IMTS talks about specific initiatives to measure trade in value added and other metrics related to the global value chains. We also have recommendations on using regional or international databases to produce some data related and some analysis on global value chains. And we also recommend the collaboration with the national accounts, because this is a very relevant topic for the national accounts, and because the national accountants, they have the full picture of the economy. They also have some important ideas and some important work regarding the global value chains. And additionally, this is a topic that we want to develop in the task team on international trade statistics, but it also, again, one cross-cutting issue, which is related with other topics, not just with the task team on international trade statistics, but someone needs to take into account that this work stream need to be developed, and it was decided that it will be developed by the task team on international trade statistics. So developing a way forward in advancing the globalization work stream is something that the task team on international trade statistics is thinking about. And as part of this globalization work stream, we have ideas on exploring the work on large case units, and I already talked to you about what we are doing in the large case units. The activities of the multinational enterprises and the global value chains are topics included in this globalization work stream. So this is something that is already planned to be done by the task team. This diagram shows you some emerging topics in the area of the task team on international trade statistics, all of them related with the work stream on globalizations. So we talk about FATs, the global value chains, the activities of multinational enterprises, the large case units, the foreign direct investment, and some very specific trade indicators in these areas. So these are our ideas on developing this mainstream on globalization. So in terms of relevant topics to be taken into account, we consider that the global value chains are a very relevant topic, specifically to international trade statistics, but also for industrial statistics. This is indeed a very relevant issue, and I think we can very well work together by joining these two areas of analysis, which are very well related with the work of the global value chains. Also important is to take into consideration the importance of the current supply chain disruption to trade, especially its impact on SMEs, and I think this is also relevant both for trade and both for industrial statistics. So we plan to have some work on the global value chains, some analysis with a focus also on the disruption and the SMEs, because they are most impacted by the global value chains and by the disruption in these global value chains. So it's good to know what these kind of enterprises and this kind of small and medium enterprises have been impacted by the global value chains where they are included. So we consider that these global value chains could be seen as another cross-cutting topic to be developed within the scope of the Handbook on Business Statistics, and thereby addressing its various components in an integrated manner. So we can talk about the Statistical Business Register, because of course it has a very relevant role in everything we are doing regarding business statistics. So also the Statistical Business Register is relevant for the global value chains analysis. Take into consideration the small and medium enterprises and how they are impacted by the global value chains where they are included. The large case units, because this is also an issue relevant for the global value chains, but not just the trade statistics, but also the industrial statistics. So these are components that we believe can be integrated in a specific technical note on global value chains. So our ideas is to have a focus group that could be established to analyze and discuss this topic, with a view to developing a technical note to be also included in the compendium of technical notes on business statistics, which, as I mentioned yesterday or the day before, is the precursor of the Handbook on Business Statistics. So this is something that we have already in mind. We already start discussing this topic. So it's very relevant that this is also a topic that is being included and raised in the global consultation on the revision topics for this task team, because it fits very well on our plans for the globalization work stream. And I think this is there is a path that we can take together, and we can work together in preparing this specific guidance note on global value chains. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina, for this presentation. And we can continue with the next presentation by Ksenia Hanusevich. Is online? Okay. Ksenia, if you can hear us, the floor is yours. I cannot see if she is connected. Okay. Okay, we can continue with the presentation of Stefan instead, and we will see again, we will check again if Ksenia is connected. So Stefan, please.
Господи, я не могу понять, что такое.
Chair. So next slide, please.
Слушай, ну надо же, что у меня так нажал?
Why discuss globalization? This is more a basic slide here. Production is today more fragmented across countries than in the past, and the new system of national accounts, SNA 2025, accounts for the global scale of production. It includes a new chapter on globalization, the chapter 23, and one basic concept here is the global value chain, GVC. GVCs are seen as a fundamental pillar of modern global economies. And IRIS do not yet include these concepts. So one objective of this project here could be to identify what SNA Chapter 23 requires and where IRIS needs revision. And the next two slides, I think we could skip. Next also. And we come to the next slide. 4 possible gaps in IRIS could be identified. Gap 1, outsourcing and processing. Gap 2, factoryless goods production. Gap 3, origin of intermediate consumption. And Gap 4, multinational enterprise groups, MNEs. Next slide, please. So what could IRIS change? As to Gap 1, IRIS could develop rules for mapping, outsourcing, and contract processing. As to Gap 2, IRIS could develop rules for mapping factoryless goods production. As to Gap 3, IRIS could develop a distinction between domestic and imported intermediate inputs. And as to Gap 4, IRIS could make intergroup transactions and multinational enterprises structures more visible. So SNA 2025 provides recommendations for all 4 areas, and IRIS could introduce new definitions, variables, and guidelines. Next slide, please. But we have to focus on a pragmatic approach. The 4 gaps first, the 4 gaps affect all countries, also developing countries, because many developing countries participate in global value chains as suppliers of raw materials or labor-intensive manufacturing. Also, GVC's statistics are important for industrial development policies, and the 4 gaps affect all countries, but capacities, statistical capacities, of course, differ strongly.
Стефан, точно нет?
Statistical resources are often limited, and the SNA 2025 recognizes the need for scalability here. IRIS could define a small core set of simple GVC variables and could also define advanced modules which remain optional for countries with more developed systems. Next slide, please. Here I would like to show you a use case from Germany business statistics. In Germany, we see a growing divergence between 2 measures of industrial production. The first is a decline in the index of industrial production since approximately 2015, whereas production in manufacturing from national accounts shows more dynamic growth in the same period. And the results for from national accounts are mainly based on annual structural business statistics, SBS. Next slide, please. So both statistics measure production, but in different ways. The IIP in Germany measures production as deflated value of physical goods output of industrial establishments, and national accounts and also SBS refer to a broader definition of production. Production of industrial units is measured as turnover from production of own products, but also from services and gross margins from sales of merchandise goods. I mean services from industrial enterprises. So the main reason for the gap between the 2 statistics in Germany is that German manufacturers sell products produced in Germany, but also products manufactured in subsidiary factories abroad. And the turnover is then realized through purchase of products from subsidiary and subsequent resale of this product. For this, products do not need to be physically imported and re-exported. And this situation is especially relevant in automotive industry. So this is the reason for the gap I showed you. So this is my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stefan, for this very informative presentation. And now I open the floor for your comments on this topic and on the 2 presentations. No, she's not connected, they say. She's not. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So, can we have the... okay. So, Senya, you are connected, so please go ahead with your presentation. I thought you were not connected, okay.
Good morning, everyone. Are you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. I'm Любовь Ермолинская, and Ksenia is nearby. We represent the National Statistical Committee of the Republic of Belarus. We are responsible for collecting data for industrial statistics and for industrial indexes compilation. And our presentation, I think, will be short. We just decided to focus on only one particular question, which we think is very essential for industrial statistics. And actually, this is mainly the same what was already said before. Now I'm trying to open my presentation. Just a minute, please.
Yes, yes.
Окей. Нет, just a minute, sorry. Так, вот оно открыто. О, here you go. Так будет видно или надо полностью? Can you see this presentation?
Yes, we can see it.
Oh, okay, thank you. The topic we suggest for discussion is the treatment of outsourcing and factorialized goods production in industrial statistics. So, as we know, in SNA 2025 chapter 23 provides with methodological guidelines related to processing arrangements and global production arrangements, but are designed just from national accounting point of view. Also, we know that according to ISIC, when goods are produced under processing agreements or global production agreements, both the principal and the processor are classified as producers within the manufacturing sectors. So what we have for industrial statistics today, there is some gaps, as previous colleagues said. They think it's necessary to clarify where the physical product is created and where its economic value is generated, because it impacts on data collection and IP compilation. For example, on this slide, you can see a few examples of difference between SNA 2025 and current practice of industrial statistics. The first kind of agreements, like processing agreements, according to SNA 2025, principal, the raw material owner, and the processor are classified as manufacturing producer. That's okay. And according to SNA, principal records output of goods and processor records manufacturing service. This looks the same as current practice in industrial statistics, but we would like to highlight some problem might appear. For example, if we conduct sample industrial survey on sample based, there are some situations when principle is not included in this survey according to the sampling criteria. In such cases, the result is data loss because um, we don't receive information about amount of goods produced. We only have information about the contract work done. So this is one point. The second one is the global production arrangements. According to SNA 2025, principal and contractor the same are classified as manufacturing producers, and they both record output of goods. Our current practice now, for example, in Belarus, are different. Principles, we don't classify them as manufacturing producer. We usually classify them as, for example, R&D or trade companies or others, and we don't receive information about goods that were produced for them from the principals. No information, but we accept information from contractor about value and quantity of goods produced under contract. So what we will have if we move to SNA 2025 approach, we see some situation when, for example, principal and the contractors are represent all the same are residents of the same company. Are residents of the same economy. So in such cases, aggregated data will contain double counting of goods. It might happen. And another problem would be that from what we should take information for IEP calculation to avoid double counting. So this is just a few problems we might face in the future. So our general points we suggest to be put it into revised IRIS. The first one, to provide IRIS with a clear explanation of who, the principal or the contractor, should provide data of the quantity and full value of goods produced depending on variety of arrangement scenarios. And the second, concerning to the residential points. It's important to clarify a situation where the principal and the contractor are not residents of the same economy, or maybe vice versa. Thank you very much. Sorry for my poor English. I hope everything will be was understand for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your English are not poor at all. We understand
I
everything.
have
Thank you.
awful accent, I know. Sorry.
Thank you for the suggestions, for the suggested points to be taken on board in Irish revision. And I would also like to thank Stefan for suggesting which gaps need to be covered in the revision of Irish. Of course, this is a very important and complicated issue, and I think the way forward is by joining our forces with already initiated work of the focus group, I think, on global value chains. So with these few comments from my side, I open the floor for your comments and questions.
So I think Mr. Stefan made a very relevant point, and that is about the gap between the growth rates that are produced by national accounts and by IIP. And maybe, I mean, for example, I can say about India that, the relevance of any indicator comes into question if there are wide variations between what is produced by one indicator and if it is not supported by another indicator. And this situation particularly is exasperated because national accounts data is considered more uh, stable, more value. And I agree that because IIP is a short term indicator, it is not expected to be as reliable as annual estimate of national accounts. But at the same time, because it is a short term indicator and our policymakers look forward to this indicator every month, so we have to ensure that ultimately it matches what the national account says or the growth rate says. So in India, in fact, we have three estimates that come out. One is from the IIP that provides us the growth rates monthly. Second is from the annual survey of industries that comes out after a lag of 1.5 years. And third is the national accounts. Every year they provide the estimates. And there are variations, and significant variations are there. And that's why many questions are raised on the relevance and quality of IIP. So I think in this forum, I would like to raise this issue that one of the criteria I remember, and I think somewhere it is suggested, is that this technique of benchmarking and revisions is one of the areas adopted by many countries to tide over the situation. But in the guidelines that we have, the examples that have been enumerated are on the GDP itself, not on the IIP. So I think my suggestion would be that we have to, number one, focus on this area, how to reduce the gap, how to make our IIP more reliable, more relevant, that it provides monthly data, and then what should be the various ways of benchmarking it to some good indicators so that it matches the trends of other indicators such as annual surveys or national accounts. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dalip. Are there other comments? Yes, Carolina.
A short comment. In Argentina, we have a proxy of GDP monthly. That's the problem. It's because our economy is so fluctuated, so we need that. The Ministry of Economy since 1919, I think, he asked the NSO, our NSO, to do it, and we do it with the IPPs, but it's not the same. We have to explain every month why.
The revisions.
The revision, all the revisions, we have to do it together, and we have 2 years of revision, so we can change the numbers, so everything is aligned. It's not easy.
Мы не можем себе такое позволить 2 года пересмотреть. Ну, хотя у нас на
Thank you
самом
very
деле-
much. I don't see any other comments, so. Oh, okay.
Thank you. Thank you, presenter Stefan, Christina, and Ksenia. Yeah, it is an issue that we need to tackle. So I think this is something that we need to have further research, and because this is also a borderline with this internationalization, right? Whereas traditionally industrial statistics focus on domestic, and that we don't see what is being outsourced. But now is becoming important. Even yesterday when we discussed about number of employees, right? So this FGP can be 2 people. right? And then everything else is outsourced. So what should we do in here? I mean, this is not only the goods, output of the goods and output of the services, but even the basic indicator of employment, we need to figure it out. And of course, GVC is not only manufacturing, right? I mean, this is also could be in a mining. So mining could be part of the GVC and so on. So it is something that we need to tackle. So I'm not sure because Christina is also the co-lead on the task team on international trade statistics. So this is a good chance also to establish like a cost-cutting focus group on this. And then especially for industrial statistics, we need to have a proper recommendations basically on how to handle variables or how to collect the variables, what is the definitions, in different kind of processing arrangement, especially the global productions arrangement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I didn't see who raised the flag first, so I will give the floor to Christina. Ladies first.
Ladies first, yes. Now, just to mention that I think that a good way forward is that we can start doing what we call it now a scoping note based on all the issues that were also presented here, because there were many very relevant topics that we need to take into account in a technical note on the GVCs. So I think that from our side, from the side of international trade statistics, and since we have the other co-lead, which is Mr. Oljur from Morocco, which is a specialist in global value chains, I think we can start by preparing a scoping note, take into account also the inputs from this meeting today, and we will share it with you, and we can define a way forward regarding this topic, because I think this is indeed a very cross-cutting issue, and we need to work together, and also with the task team on the statistical business register, because they have a relevant role there. So I think we can start by doing that. Thank you.
Она что-то
Thank you
сказала,
very
что
much.
I
And
hope we
Stefan,
join
please.
task там team что-то такое сказанула. Надо
Yes, I
почитать.
would like to add a few comments. What we face in Germany is, as to factory-less goods production, it's not 100% factory-less goods production, but 50% factory-less goods production. It's combined own production and production approach.
Okay.
So this seems to me to be a special case which is not directly addressed in the SNA. And I talked to the colleague from the classification department on how to classify these 50% not own production. Is it merchandise goods? Is it service? Because the principal firm provides R&D services, for example, or branding and all these things. Or is it manufacturing? And the colleague said that he, as a classification department, cannot answer this question. This question has to be answered by the domain statistics. So I think that we here in this room or in this project here have the task of answering this question, and not the classification department. Thank you.
Видишь, как они сказали, что сами придумают.
Thank you very much. Do you have any idea why this was not treated in SNA 2027?
Yes, it was treated as a classification problem, but not as a, how could I say, as a domain statistics problem. This is maybe the reason. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I don't see other reactions, so thank you, all the presenters, and we can continue with the next item on minimally required items and metadata requirements with a presentation by UNIDO.
Юнида.
Yes, Elisa, the floor is yours.
Была, мы с тобой правильно сделали. Это у